Oh, man. I think Mike Detillier may have Derek Carr fatigue. But actually, Mike was the first. So I woke up and Mike's tweet, you know how your algorithms are, people that you follow. And that's how I found out that Derek Carr was retiring. I flipped up I guess it was on Saturday morning. I think I was in New Orleans, but anyway, I can't remember over the weekend. And Mike had tweeted out, that they were doing the divorce thing. I think it worked out for both parties, but we're going to get our Saints NFL insiders' thoughts. Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. Mike D joins us on the Farm Bureau Insurance guest line, and the show is brought to you by your next video wall at your high school, university, law firm, business, and that's powered by Sound and Communications, soundcomav.com for your next video wall for your business or school. Mike D on the show. Mike, was this a win for both parties now that they were able to kind of negotiate this thing down and figure it out and get the divorce finalized?
Yeah, I think it was a bigger win for the Saints because, to be honest, Bo, the guy I co-host with, there ain't no way he walking away from $30 million. Yeah, I can guarantee you that. Or any other NFL player that you left that on the table. So Derek Carr did him a solid, so to speak, in the fact that, you were able to negotiate this deal. He didn't want to be here. That was obvious. And I think there was a strong measure of the Saints fan base that he had so much disdain for him. He is the most polarizing Saints player I've covered in 40 years here. The most. Some people bring up Aaron Brooks, but Aaron won a playoff game. He won some signature games for the Saints. I can't really say that about Derek. He had a 14-win, 13-loss record as a starter for the Saints. But there was not that signature win against a really good team, no playoffs, and he was tied to Dennis Allen, another super polarizing guy here. And it had just gone bad all across the board. And the most telling thing, I'd heard this from somebody working with the Saints, that there had never been a face-to-face between Kellen Moore and Derek Carr. And I first, because I had read it, a few people had wrote it, that there had been, but I trusted this individual that he said there had never been that way. Saturday, when asked, Kellen Moore said, "We never met face-to-face."
Wow.
So you mean to tell me the projected starting quarterback for the Saints and the new head coach had never met face-to-face? That, to me, is strange. And the whole off season of events of Carr not being here during Super Bowl week, him moving his family out west, the non-meeting between him and Kellen Moore. And Kellen explained it like, well, we just never kind of crossed paths, and we were doing a lot of, individual workouts type things from school to school. Man, I can remember Dennis Allen, after he took the job, he takes a plane flight to California to meet Michael Thomas. And how we knew about it at WWL before anybody else. Who was on that flight from New Orleans to California? Bobby Hebert's daughter. And so Coach is telling us the story that he said, I could see this woman. She kind of glanced at me a few times. And then finally, we got off the plane. She was like, "Are you Dennis Allen?" He was like, "Yeah." He said, "Oh, my dad's Bobby Hebert." And so he had went to California to meet Michael Thomas. He did. So my thing, when you don't have the head coach and the quarterback meet, that tells you a lot. Tells you a heck of a lot where this situation went. And I think it's a clean slate. The door is wide open now. All Tyler Shuck got to do is walk through it. and I think he's the guy for week one, barring any sort of injury. The one thing, though, Bo, they got to take a look at, and, all this stuff sort of happened pretty quickly. But when you have a quarterback room of a rookie quarterback and a second-year quarterback in Spencer Rattler and a third-year quarterback in Jake Haener, I think you got to go out and take a look and see if you can't bring in a veteran quarterback that would fit that backup role, sort of a mentor, a guy that in that film room and when they come off the sidelines can talk to your starting quarterback, because that is needed in the NFL. Just think about a lot of people, let's just go with the kids. You know what? You fell in the rabbit hole last year, didn't you? The same geniuses that tell you don't bring in the veteran. When Derek Carr went down, you had to play Spencer Rattler and Jake Haener. They were, why didn't we have a veteran quarterback? The same people that's screaming off the rooftops about that today would be screaming about it today if Tyler Shuck got hurt in week 3. You got to be smart enough to understand that is a unique position to play quarterback in the NFL as a starter. It's unique. And you need some help, early on in your career. I don't care how many of your assistant coaches played quarterback and your head coach played quarterback, to have that guy that's in those film rooms, in those practice sessions that can sort of help you get better as a player. And it's sort of the same reasoning or kind of craziness of, we tank in the season anyway. Well, guess whose resume that's on? Kellen Moore, not on yours. Would you want to tank, your first year wherever you went and have that on your resume? The answer is no. He don't want that. They hired him to win games. That's what the NFL is about. It's a bottom line business. And there are holes on this football team all across the board. But I think the sort of divorce was good for both sides. Derek's made $119.5 million playing in the NFL. But I don't know of another NFL player that would walk away from $30 million. There is a chapter in this book that has not quite been written. And he's going to play again, right? Devil in the details. We'll find all that out. But it's over with now. You move on. And this is Tyler Shuck's football team.
Okay, so Mike Detillier, Saints Insider, on the Out of Bounds Show and the Farm Bureau Insurance Guest Line. Derek Carr and the Saints. The divorce is done. Very much worked out for the Saints. And as Mike said, Derek's already made a fortune. Didn't want to play there. Do you expect Derek Carr to play again, Mike D?
I think the telltale sign of that would be when he has surgery. We had to do a special Saturday, so I had on Dr. David Elias from Ortho LA. Dr. Elias has done a lot of surgeries on Major League Baseball pitchers, tennis players, swimmers, quarterbacks, and his comments was, if it is what is being presented, because he was not the one that Derek Carr went to, he said, there's a strong possibility, even if surgery is had, you might not be able to come back from it. It's one of these type surgeries, over-the-top deliveries, which is how he puts it, that a lot of times your shoulder gets sort of displaced. And that's an issue. And I think this is a lingering issue from his days also with the Raiders, where it wasn't as bad and it just grew worse. This was about 2 months ago. Mike Mayock, on a podcast with his daughter, made the comment that Derek had an AC joint shoulder injury in Las Vegas and had not had surgery on it. So, I don't really know if he plays or doesn't play, but really I think at this point it doesn't matter. I think for Saints fans, hey, it's over with. I think for Kellen Moore, he's not his guy, and you move on. And the only lingering effect of this is because, and we've talked about this on the show a few times, you went to the bank of Derek Carr not once but twice for money. And next year, you will have a $35.5 million dead money hit with Derek Carr. So for 2026,
and that's on the front office.
He's still on the books for $35.5 million.
Damn. Okay. All right. So it's for our listeners. Tyler Shuck is out of Louisville, and he was a second-round pick for the Saints. Mike D. Let's see. This will be Tyler Shuck and Spencer Rattler. Do you still believe, Mike D., that sometime this summer they'll pick up a veteran?
Yes, I do. I think it will not be, because you got everybody's got this thing about Kirk Cousins or Aaron Rodgers. It's not going to be anybody like that, but it'll be a veteran quarterback that has started in the NFL somewhere. Now the pickings are sort of slim at that position. Where could it be a guy like Teddy Bridgewater? Because Teddy really had retired from the game, went coach out in Florida, won a state championship. After the season was over with, Teddy wants to actually make a few, dollars he can count. So he signs with the Lions. He actually played in the final playoff game with Detroit when Jared Goff got hit high, and they kept him on the sidelines for a series. So it would be somebody of that ilk that's not going to cost you a lot of money at this stage of the game. And this team still has holes in it. And I keep repeating this. I have a friend of mine who, him and I, we do some investing together. He's got a certain term for people who make the same mistake over and over and over and over again. I'm not going to repeat it because you'd have to censor me. But, but you think about the cornerback position, and I think this team does have interest in Asante Samuel Jr. Now, he's coming off a neck injury, so I'd have to get medical approval on that. I still think they need help at wide receiver. Offensive line help is always going to be there, and it's a space where you get a lot of people hurt throughout the season, and even a pass rush guy. You still have holes on this football team. So, and along with the quarterback position, a veteran. So, yes, to answer your question, I do see them going out getting a veteran quarterback who can just sort of calm the room of a lot of young guys. And it is such a difficult spot when you're a starting quarterback as a rookie, no matter what your age is. And I think we've grown almost accustomed to why everybody's not like C.J. Stroud, why everybody's not like Jaden Daniels. Those two guys are anomalies in this league. And I'll never forget, every year is the same speech, and I could tell you. Peyton Manning at the Manning Passing Academy talks to the group of kids that are there along with the counselors. And he said, he always tells the counselors, I got one thing to tell you, and I'm asking every year. One of y'all guys got to beat me out of that rookie interception record. Peyton Manning, his first year, threw more interceptions than any other rookie quarterback in the history of the National Football League. And that grates him today. Still today, as great as Peyton Manning was in his career, that he struggled with it. Think about, was anybody more prepared for the NFL than Peyton Manning? And yet he struggled. So to see what we've seen back-to-back years, I've done this 40 years. I've never seen it back-to-back years. I've seen a guy do it, and then it's a couple, 3 or 4 more years, and then a guy comes in, and he makes a big impact. But to see it back-to-back years, that's an anomaly in this league to have that happen. So it's a difficult journey, no matter how prepared you are, to be a starting quarterback at the NFL level.
Big time. All right. Mike Detillier, Saints Insider on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by your next video wall from Sound and Communications. Derek Carr's out. Tyler Shuck's in. Would you be, Mike, like shocked if Spencer Rattler beats out Tyler Shuck in camp in August?
Yes. I'd be shocked.
Okay.
I just think that Tyler's the guy. You didn't pick him where you picked him for Spencer if you felt Spencer Rattler was a better player.
Okay.
You could have used that position, to pick somebody else.
Sure.
But I think you felt you needed to bring in a guy that could be a starter and a guy that was mature, could handle a team physically. I mean, you look at Tyler. I mean, he's a big dude, and he can sling it. What he doesn't have is a lot of football starting snaps under his belt. And that having to do certainly with injuries. And, the injuries aren't these soft tissue injuries. They're broken bones twice. And so, I would be surprised, really, really surprised, if in a head-to-head healthy competition, both are healthy, that Rattler beats out Tyler.
For our listeners, Tyler Shuck redshirted at Oregon, then didn't really play in 2019. 2020, he became the starter. Had a solid year, 1,600 yards, 13 TDs. Goes to the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Back and forth, as Mike D said, as far as injury and playing, and then transferred to Louisville and started all 12 games this past year and had a good year. So we'll see how that looks for Kellen Moore and the Saints. Mike, do you believe that the Saints can do enough, have done enough, and can do enough the next couple of months to put themselves in position to compete for the NFC South against Tampa Bay and possibly Atlanta?
No. I think this is sort of a reset year. I think the stability at quarterback for Tampa gives them a huge advantage. I think about the last 36 months. And what's the biggest acquisition in the NFC South? It was signing Baker Mayfield and developing his skills. It's been the overriding factor why they have won back-to-back NFC South championships. And I think if you put the Bucs front office on a lie detector machine, they would blow the circuits if they told you we knew all this was going to happen. I think they took a chance on Baker and hoped it would work out because they were in a soft reset, similar to the Saints. They went a reset because they had pushed all the chips in with Brady, because it wasn't just Brady's money. It was the money you spent on Rob Gronkowski, on Leonard Fournette, on Ndamukong Suh, Jason Pierre-Paul. They really did throw a lot of that in the middle of the table and said, we're going to try to win. And they did win a Super Bowl with it. And Brady got them into the playoffs the other years. But it's really been surprising, the journey of Baker Mayfield. They'll do a 90-minute deal on that, because here was a guy who ends up being the first overall pick in the draft, and yet look at his journey, how uneven it was all across the board with Cleveland, and he does get them into the playoffs, and then it kind of falls apart there. Carolina, Jets, the Rams on a Thursday night game. They bring him in on a Tuesday. He has one day to prepare, and how good he looked. And I'll never forget Sean McVay's comments after the game was that, hey, it's Baker being Baker. It was, he was kind of jumbling a couple of different plays that we didn't have, but the guys understood it. And I didn't want to clutter his mind. And his mind had a lot to clutter anyway. And he laughed about it. He kind of was kind of picking a little bit at Baker, saying, hey, man, he's talented, is just to get to him. And I think what happened there, he was fortunate. Dave Canales, who's now the head coach with the Panthers, was really good for him in Tampa and sort of settled him down. Isn't he the difference in the NFC South? They have a rebuilt offensive line, which looks really good today. They've certainly done well in bringing in a Bucky Irving at running back. Then the draft falls from, they get a Buka, as a receiver to team up with Evans. And their defense has always played pretty well. That's one thing with Todd Bowles, his defenses are going to play well, and they've used a lot of resources of early round picks on the defensive side of football, and they've been able to win it 4 straight years. You got to give them full credit. You can say, well, it's a weak division. Well, if it's so weak, how come the other teams didn't win it?
Right.
How come Atlanta didn't win it?
Right.
How come the Saints didn't win it? How come Carolina didn't win it? No, the Panthers had some opportunities. The Saints had opportunities. Falcons certainly had opportunities. But you got to give that one maneuver has really changed the NFC South more than any other over the last couple of years.
They have the best GM in the division. Jason's done a good job.
Sharp. I remember when he was an area scout, we sort of met a few times and had some conversations. And the one thing with him, and he is right about this, if somebody, he is very big on how much you love the game, how football smart you are. It's not about if you can split the atom or, you take a case to court. It's about football smarts. And if you're a jerk, or you got issues, then I don't want to deal with you. It's distractions from me. It's distractions from my head coach. He has held true to that. A lot of people, they kind of go a little left and right because they love the player, and then you forget about there was some issues. And everybody's got some faults, but you got to love the game, and you can't be a distraction to the head coach and the organization.
No.
They've been able to do that very well in Tampa and bringing in people that, their focus is on football. Now, they did sign Baker Mayfield.
Boom. Mike D, thank you so much. We'll talk next week. We appreciate you. Mike D on the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Sound and Communications for your next video wall for your business or school. SoundComAV.com.